All right, so I have been thinking about the week that I've, had this week, as well as some of the things I've been doing with work, some of the things I've been doing at home, and I've just been constantly in this loop of of thought about plants. Like, y'all don't realize I really love nature. I align with nature, and I just learn so much from it. And one of the things that I'm learning, or that I am being reminded of, because I've learned this, but now it's, you always learn in waves. It'll be that initial wave, and then it'll recede, and then it'll come back up, with various experiences, right, throughout your journey. But nevertheless, the thing that's been on my mind is the garden, and how we should look at the communities we are in, the families we're in, the friendships we have, the work environments we have, any environment where we come in contact with other people, put it like that, as a garden. And the fact that in a garden, living things are meant to grow, right? But not everything in that garden, not every plant that is in the garden has the same starting point, or they're at the same stage of their development. Not every plant is at the are on pace and growing at the same rate as the other next to it, you know, because everybody, or every plant, gets planted at whatever state of being that they were before going into that soil. So some plants, they went in as the seed from the very beginning, right? Some plants were, you know, went in as a seedling. That means that they have roots that have already began to, take form and help have that stability for the plant. They have a stem there sprouting out. You're able to see that there's some growth in that seed, right? But it's still not at its full form. But you can tell that it's growing. Some plants are much further along, and they have really began to take form and shape, you know, but they haven't bared any fruit yet, or they haven't flowered and shown how they bloom and blossom, right? And then we have some plants that are already in full bloom. They are producing fruits. They're producing more seeds. They're able to, add back into, or pour back into the soil by way of what they're bearing, right? Or they're flowering, and so they're able to add that beauty of, and showcase the beauty of the garden because of how much they have grown, right? And when we look at community, we look at our workplace, and we look at our friendship circles, our family as a garden, we can be able to see a fuller perspective of someone beyond just what's face value. So if I were to just look at that seed and see this spot within my garden where I planted that seed, and then a couple days later there's still nothing showing, and I were to just face value, just look at that spot, or say somebody comes in and they just look at that spot and they see there's nothing there. If you are not aware or knowledgeable of that community or of that garden, you're going to assume that this space is empty. But really, there is a seed that's germinating. underneath that soil. The roots are are taking form and stretching out and helping create the stability in order for that seed to continue to grow and ascend above the soil. And so it's like being mindful of the space, of the type of being mindful of the substance of your garden, being mindful of what is within that garden, right? And giving the grace and the patience, having that wonder and hope for what is growing, even the parts and the areas within the garden that you can't see. Also being able to give space and room for the plants that haven't fully bloomed, like the ones that are more mature. It's also necessary to look at the ones that are mature, the plants that are creating fruit and have fruit to bear, and honor those plants by the way you treat the fruit that they have offered, that they have grown, that they are producing. If you don't care for the plant, then you allow it to rot. And if the plant is not being if what is growing from that plant is not being harvested, then you're actually wasting all that time, that effort, that growth, all the nutrients, the knowledge, the wisdom within the nutrients. And if hopefully you rock with me, seeing that I'm going towards people, right? In this analogy or metaphor, whatever, but yeah, like you waste the opportunity to grow from what grew from them, right? But then there's also something very important about a garden that I feel like sometimes people can easily mistake for something good, and that is the weeds. A weed is also a plant. A weed is also a living thing. But like weeds, people can show themselves as looking the part of being a part of this garden. But in reality, a weed is an invasive species. A weed will take up the space needed and necessary for the fruit bearing, the beauty bearing, the intentions of that garden, what was planted. The weeds will take up the space to where they don't have the room to anchor themselves, to grow. And those weeds will then begin to take from the nutrients away from the plants that were intentionally grounded, intentionally placed. And in doing, and eventually a weed will continue to grow to the point where now those plants are now becoming weaker. Those plants are now decaying and decomposing because they're not getting what they need, because this living thing came through. But this living thing is more of a energy siphoning. It's like a vampire, if you will, energy vampire in a way, because it's taking the good from one thing and just storing it up for themselves. And it looks like it could be a good thing. It looks like it's a plant. And if you're not knowledgeable of and able to see the difference between and identify the differences of a weed from the plants that you've placed in there, that you've rooted in there, then you will unknowingly help feed into something that you actually didn't want growing in your garden in the first place. So it's very important that you are mindful of caring for that garden, of making sure you are honoring the space and the energy and the time and the effort you've put in, as well as what these plants are growing and doing and persevering through. These plants are making it through storms. These plants are making it through pests and all these external influences that could jeopardize its growth. Don't let the weeds that could make you believe they are harmless harm you, harm the work you've been doing. Because one thing about weeds can grow not, plants and weeds grow flowers. But you got to make sure, is this the type of flower and flowering? Is this what I want? Because the weeds, the flowers never bloom like a rose. The flowers are never as beautiful and bountiful as other flowers that you would love to see, sunflowers, daisies, or whatever, tulips. Weeds will not produce and bear any fruit that is going to help you grow, help nourish you. Be mindful of those weeds. Because if you are not, they will not mind taking everything from you, leaving you with nothing. And now, how does this relate to people if you need more of a, direct connection to real life? It is real life. Anyways, focus for a day. It's the same thing with people in your circle, people in your family, people at your workplace, your co-workers. You have to be mindful of their intentions. Be mindful and be aware of what it is that you want in your circle, in your environment, in your home, in your family. And if the people that are connected to it is actually feeding into its growth or jeopardizing its growth. You have to be careful in who you allow access to your garden, to what it is that you're growing. Because if you allow a weed, you allow an energy vampire, you allow someone who likes to siphon energy to infiltrate your space, your mind, your heart, your body, you are now giving them free access to do what they want to do with your time and your energy, right? And with what it is that you have been growing. You are giving them the clearance to jeopardize your peace. You're giving them the clearance, the access to disrupt your flow and to delay your growth. You're letting them know. And every time you choose to not identify the problem, every time you choose to overlook the issues, overlook the ways in which they are moving in your space, the ways in which they are taking that energy that instead of adding to the growth of your plans, adding to the growth of your work, adding to the growth of your family, adding to the growth of your peace. If they're not doing that, and they are stripping away the nutrients because they're bringing chaos, stripping away the growth because they're bringing their own drama. You are in a way accepting your decay, because if it doesn't grow, then it decays. So stop letting people into your life and treat you as weeds when you are treating them as something, the potential of its growth being something that's going to be beautiful, honoring, joyful, wonderful, fruitful. You're sowing into your own demise if you don't cut the weeds and remove them from your garden. You did all this work to till the soil, to make sure the soil is fertile and nourishing for these seeds, to plant the seeds, to water it, to make sure and inspect for any pests. You've done all this work only to let the weeds come in and undo it for you. And there's no limits to how much the weeds can grow. There's no limit to how much an energy vampire can take from you. The limit only comes in when you place it there. You establish the boundary. You tell them what it is, what it's going to be, and what it ain't. And one thing I know from my experience dealing with weeds and dealing with energy vampires and people who siphon others' energy, the thing that I've learned is either when you establish that boundary, you better enforce it. And when you are consistent with your enforcement of those boundaries, those weeds, those people are going to do one of two things. Either they're going to change, they're going to grow, and they're going to change, and their growth becomes something in alignment to what you have established as the standard. Or they are going to go. They're either going to elevate or they're going to vacate. And that's a beautiful thing, the difference between a garden and what we can do as people, as individual peoples, when establishing it and making sure we are the nurturers of our gardens, that spiritual garden, that physical garden, our bodies, our mind, our heart, our spirit, right? The difference between a literal garden of plants is that you have to be very on it, pulling them weeds out, right? You got to actively go in and pull the weeds out. And at one point in time, and in some cases you do have to do that for people, right? There's some people you have to deny access to, right? Or, sever the ties with them, pulling out the weed. But what I've learned through many lived experiences, I have had a whole life. I feel like I've lived multiple lifetimes in one of character development, But one of the things that I've learned is you don't have to truly attack a weed. You don't have to be so aggressive and be equally as aggressive to a weeds that grows like they grow in the ground in the garden. You don't have to be it. You don't even got to go that hard. All you really got to do is stand firm on what you will allow and what you won't allow. All you got to do is establish those boundaries and stick to it. All you got to do is be consistent on what you expect for your life and what you expect for people that's going to be in it. All you got to do is show up as yourself. Hold yourself to those standards. All you got to do is hold yourself to those expectations. What you got to do is embody what it is that you desire for your life. And as you embody what it is you desire for your life, they're going to make themselves either grow so that they can remain in your life or go. They're going to either rise and ascend or they're going to fall off themselves. You ain't got to do too much. I've literally had someone who I felt was a dear friend of mine in the friendship because they did not want to have another growing conversation with me. That's what they said. They didn't want to have another growing conversation with me. Their words. And that hurt me. But then I realized, why would I want to be with somebody that don't want to grow? Why would I want to stay connected to someone that doesn't want to grow? Because again, the moment you stop growing, you start decomposing. The moment you choose to stop growing, your death is upon you. And it don't look like death. It don't look like you decaying when you choose not to grow. But your spirit is. Those manifestations, you're getting further and further away from them because you're choosing not to make those moves that's going to help you get to what it is where you want to be or who you want to be. That's why you got people later into their lives all bitter and upset and angry and feeling a lot of regret because they chose not to make the choice that was going to push them into growth. And growth is not easy. Growth is not comfortable. Growth can hurt at some times. And some people choose to stay stagnant. Some people choose to be complacent in where they are rather than taking that leap towards growth. And I, for one, I'm not one of those people. And so I cannot align with anybody who chooses not to grow. Don't let the weeds throughout your life and whatever area of life they're growing in stop you from growing. Embody what it is that you desire to be, who it is that you desire to show up as in this world. Embody the fruits that you want to bear. You got to embody that. And then the people who choose not to grow, they're going to fall away. They're going to eliminate themselves out of your life. But back on that, I got to say this again, embody the fruits that you desire to bear. You want to bear and have the fruits of of peace, then you need to embody it. You need to be doing the work within you to produce what it is that you want to partake in. Ain't nobody gonna come and bring you peace. You will bring you peace. People are gonna match what it is that you give or what you exude. So if you want people of peace coming your way, then you need to become that. If you want kindness to come your way, you need to embody kindness. You need to generate that from within you. And don't make no mistake, right? You're going to still have people that come with ill intentions, that come with the facade of the fruits. Or they might even come with, and the fruit is half poison or half rotten, right? But that's where discernment comes in. That's where you have been tested, tried and true of what it is that you embody, because you've been doing the work to embody it. That you'll be able to sharpen your lens, sharpen your discernment to know whether or not that fruit is truly as healthy as they claim it is or present itself as. Excuse me. It'll also help you be able to identify whether or not what people's true intentions are. Is this true kindness, or is this being nice? There's a very big difference between those two, and I'm definitely gonna make another video or do a little more talk about the difference between kindness and nice. But yeah, you gotta be embodying what it is that you desire for your life, so that one, you can attract it, and two, you can identify those who pretend to be what it is that you are, because you have generated and created that within yourself. You know how they say, real recognize real. So if you are real, you are really patient, you are really kind, you are really loving, you are really full of the Spirit, you are really showing up in peace, then you're going to recognize whether a real from a fake way quicker if you're embodying it yourself. We are like mirrors in this world. If you're going up to somebody and you can see you in them, and you like what you see in them, and what you see in them is love and light and joy and peace and hope and kindness, compassion, it's generosity that you are able to see in them. It's because one, you see it in yourself first, and then two, with longevity, that's that long suffering, that with that over time, you're going to see if that's them consistently, like it is you consistently. That's how you'll be able to move towards alignment with the right people. Because a fake can only fake so long before they're going to truly show their real self. And then a fake can maybe they can be fake in this environment, but how are they going to be in that environment? You know, it takes time to really see people for who they are. But sometimes we don't need to wait, because our discernment, our intuition, our higher self guides us to see those things. Maybe it's our body. Our body is telling us, this person ain't it. This person ain't it. But if we ignore those signs, as subtle or as loud as they can be, then we allow for those people to enter. We allow for those weeds to become rooted and to start depleting us, to start draining us of what it is, that vital, fertile, nourishing nutrients coming from us, which then delays what it is that we desire to grow within ourselves. And man, if you will know if somebody is for you, is a weed or is fertilizer, right? If you ever told mentioned like something you want to do, and then either that person has a negative disposition towards what you said, their response is negative, it's not encouraging, it's not authentic, it doesn't feel like they are genuinely like excited or happy for you and supported, that's a weed. Or you ever notice that if you tell them something you want to do or something your aspiration, and then or it's something you planning on, and then it never fully pans out the way you wanted it to be, or it all of a sudden you just stop feeling interested in it again, or you start to you become what's the word? Like you're not into it no more. Let's just put it like that. Because that person you told, they're not for you. They're not meant to help you grow. They meant to take from you. And if you do this thing that they can't do, then that's them not able to truly get all they can from you. And that person is a weed. And that's why it's very important that you are mindful of how many people you are giving access to your energy and access to your knowledge, access to your information, right? Because if you telling everybody everything, then it's kind of hard to tell who's the weeds and who's for you and who's against you, right? It's kind of hard to tell that. But when you start to, funnel it in, you start to be more selective about what it is that you share. If you start to move in silence and you start to tell less people, you're actually able to keep up with what it is that you shared and who you shared it to. So then you're able to better discern and be guided towards the weeds. Also, you will be able to accomplish and succeed in the things that you desire when you tell less people. Because not that you shouldn't share anything with anyone ever. It's just that it's all about the timing. It's all about the timing. If you try to, you have, you just put let's say you have a new plant that's in a pot, and it hasn't fully taken, those roots haven't developed as much as it needed to, and you try to then transplant that newly sprouted seed, germinated seed into soil, into the ground, without giving it the time to fully develop its roots, it may not make it. It may not survive. Sometimes you just gotta keep what is growing in the dark. Seeds are growing in the dark. Everybody don't need to see the seed grow. Yes, you can grow your seed and do not forget what is it? Through propagation. You can grow your seed through propagation, and then others can see your roots and everything. But eventually, In order for that propagated plant to truly grow to its full potential, it needs to go in the dark. It needs to go in that soil. It needs to go and be planted somewhere where the roots cannot be seen. That stability cannot be seen. The foundation, what the roots are holding on to, cannot be seen. Oh, I feel like I went all over, man. I don't even know how to get back to where I started, but it is what it is. Stop telling people everything that you are planting. Let the overflow show them. Let them relish in the beauty of what has matured, and not what is trying to still take root. Thank you, Spirit. Also, here's the last thing. I think I'm trying to round it out, and I took this pause to kind of round it out. I went all around the world. Okay, I'm back to where I started. This last part. In a garden, not everybody is meant to help you grow it, right? You don't need, sometimes too many hands can make it harder for that garden to grow, especially hands that don't know what they're doing. You coming in, you don't know how to, what goes with what plant should not be planted next to another plant, or what plant needs more space or need more depth to the soil, what plant can be planted more shallow, in a shallow way. They need to be planted more towards the surface so that their roots can go deeper. That what plants need more water than others. If you got somebody coming into your garden, they don't know how to care for your garden, then you are actually making it harder for you to grow what it is that you are trying to manifest and show and bloom. That's not to say no one can come in and help you. But man, if you gonna have somebody come in, they better know what they're doing. And if they don't know what they're doing, they better at least be willing to learn. And if they ain't willing to learn, then what are they here to? What are they there for? Why you got them in your circle? Why you got them in your garden? Why you got them so close to your inner court? Make sure you are doing and being not just the gardener, not just the person that plants and relish in what grows, but you are you are pruning, you are inspecting, you are re-establishing what is meant to be in this garden, and enforcing that and being consistent with the cycles of caring for this garden, caring for yourself, caring for your heart, caring for your mind, caring for your body, caring for your spirit, caring for the work that you do. So that you can truly grow and bloom in the way that you desire, in the way you envision. I just feel like it just keep coming to my head. It came in my head when I first pushed play. And so I'm going to leave it at this. This is the last thing I'm about to say. This is in my head. Get those squares about your circle. I'll leave it at that. All right. Peace.